Hello everyone, good morning. I'm Professor Kalpesh Kansara from Udna Citizen Cooperative Bank Commerce College. I'm the Assistant Professor in English, and with me is Miss Smruti.
Hello friends, good morning. I'm Smruti Shah. I'm working with iIdeas. It's an Indian Institute for Development and Education in Advanced Studies. I'm working as a senior counselor.
Friends, now let us start today's topic, that is the art of introduction. Now, whenever you meet a person, formally or informally, whether it is a public place, an office, an organization, or even an institute, an educational institute, you generally introduce yourself to that person. Now, there are different ways to introduce yourself, and this is a skill. It is an art, as it says. So let us first of all find out why do we need to introduce ourselves, and what are the different ways of introduction. So we all know that it is important to develop a very brief self-introduction that tells people what we want them to know about us and our business. So if it is an informal situation, we wish to get closer to the person, we wish to get friendly with the person, we also wish to know more about the other person, and we also want that person to know more about ourselves. So that is the basic aim of introduction, to inform the personal details of a person, what kind of background the person has, what kind of likes and dislikes the person possesses. Now, Smriti, have you ever faced an interview or?
Of course, yes, sir, because it's necessary.
And yes, and how was your first interview? How did you introduce yourself at that time?
To be very frank, I'm not knowing about interview and all. So my first interview was I was very scared at that time.
Right.
So I want to know which language using for people and how to introduce ourselves.
Yes, that's right. People often get scared and are nervous when they face an interview or when they meet strange men, strange people, strangers especially, how to talk to the person, how to initiate the conversation. So you can break the ice by starting your introduction. Who you are, what is your name, what's your place of residence, and a lot more, like your education, your likes and dislikes, your hobbies, etc., your achievements and things like that, and a lot more. But talking about your informal introduction, you can just start it with a hi or a hello, and then with your name. So this is how you can start it. It is sometimes called the elevator speech because one should be able to finish it before the listener reaches his or her floor in a ride up or down in an elevator. So when you meet a stranger, when you meet a person for the first time, you have a very short time to introduce yourself, and that is why it is sometimes called this elevator speech, meaning just within a few seconds or a few minutes you are supposed to give some personal information about yourself. So this brief introduction is often our one chance to make a good first impression. So it warrants some careful attention. You need to balance yourself very well, your body language, your tone, your voice, and the information that you give should be absolutely correct. Now, once you have been invited to an interview, you must get ready to create this image of someone they will surely want to hire above all other job applicants. Because as you see, there are so many people who attend a job interview, and there's fierce competition, right? Nowadays, you see, for just a few posts, for example 4 or 5 posts, you have hundreds of job applications. So this filtering process is done right from your CVs, your applications, and then the next stage is the personal interview. And at that time, when you introduce yourself, you are also giving an idea of your confidence level before the referees. So once you have been invited, you have that opportunity to make an impression on the minds of the people before you. Smriti, can you carry forward the next part?
Of course, yes, sir. The art of introduction. Self-introduction is your key to interview success, because you are starting from a baseline position where they have no experience of who you are or what you are like.
Yes, exactly. Who are you is the question. Your identity is very much important. So when you introduce yourself, it is your key to the interview success, as you are starting from a baseline position and people do not know you at all. So introduction is like an index of the personality of the person, of the educational background of the person. And then create a favorable first impression. That is very, very much required. Because as they say, the first impression is the last impression. Your body language, your facial expressions also should be in harmony with your speech, your language, your introduction. So the way you can create a favorable first impression is to be sure you appear confident and open. So when you meet your interviewer for the first time, make eye contact at the introduction and repeat the interviewer's name as you shake hands and thank them for inviting you to the interview. This may or may not be possible in all situations, because there may be some space between you, there may be some things between you which come as a hindrance for shaking your hands with the interviewer. But then at least you can smile and greet the person and give your name so that the person can get familiar with you. And then as you get seated, smile to indicate you are ready to get down to business. That is, you are ready to answer all the questions that follow your introduction. Now what often follows is the invitation to tell them about yourself. Now this is generally the most common question asked to an interviewee, and generally people get baffled and they start long introductions of themselves, and they give much unnecessary information that at all is not required. So this is like breaking the ice. They want to just start the conversation, and that should be very, very brief. So this is the phase where you develop the rapport that will carry you through to the positive outcome at the end of the interview. So well begun is half done, as they say. If you begin your introduction very well, then you will be much more confident about yourselves and what you will speak after the introduction. Whatever other details, whatever other questions you are supposed to answer, you'll be able to answer them easily and confidently once you get through the introduction part successfully. So now, because self-introduction is your key to interview success, you must have previously prepared exactly what you are going to say. This is a short focused statement that sounds interesting to the listener. Now here, as you see, previously prepared, that means you need to rehearse well about your introduction too. Don't ignore it, because this also is a very important part of your personal interview, or in that case any communication, any conversation. Your introduction is a very, very important part, because whatever follows, whatever communication or conversation follows, and whatever understanding the other person has about you is solely, completely based on your introduction, your impression on that person's mind. So it is a short focused statement that sounds interesting to the listener, and your whole personality gets reflected in your introduction. Now you make it interesting by keeping it short. As I said earlier, it can be of a few seconds or even a few minutes. Generally it should be less than 3 minutes. That is the standard length. And by showing that you are interested in both the job and the organization. This means you need to do some research about the business beforehand. For example, what kind of post you are going to apply and present yourself for. and also about the organization, how it works, what are the policies of the organization, etc. So some kind of background, some kind of research about that business you should have beforehand, so that you are much more confident when you express yourself and you relate your skills and your personality with the specific kind of job. So then you can also put forward your strengths and achievements. Smriti, can you go ahead with the strengths and achievements?
In your self-introduction, you will include some example of your strength and achievements which relate directly the requirements of new job.
Yes, exactly. You should also take care of your strengths and achievements. Besides your weaknesses, you should never highlight the weaknesses, especially in your introduction, but then you should focus on your strengths and achievements. Whatever is extraordinary achievements you have had in your school days or in your college days, that you can highlight in your introduction. And then this must also demonstrate your personal qualities that you apply when you are doing the job, because the type of person you are is often far more important than just having the ability to do a job. So they expect that the person, the interviewee, is full of confidence, though the person may not be capable at the time of the interview. But if he or she shows confidence, then they may depend on that person, on the candidate, that this person will certainly do well in all the fields. Whatever responsibilities are assigned to the person, he or she will fulfill them successfully, as the person is full of confidence. And then the way you outline your self-introduction, in particular the way you speak, tells the interviewer whether you are confident in your abilities. So you must rehearse it well, but don't try to be what you are clearly not. Yes, here one should remember that you should never give any incorrect information, especially in your resumes or in your CVs. And also when you introduce yourself verbally, orally, when you speak about yourself, you should never bluff. You should never tell anything that does not relate to you. So you should be, again, very much correct and precise. So for your rehearsals, you can call up some of your friends or a friend to listen to your self introduction with a critical ear, because if it sounds false, it will set the alarm bells ringing with the interviewer, who will detect that it is not the real you and destroy the rapport you were building up. So you can also practice before a mirror. There are many other ways for rehearsals. You can practice it before a family friend, or your parents, or your siblings, or even a friend, or even your teacher, anyone for that case, who especially has that sense of correctness, of perfection. Such a person can certainly guide you in introduction. Then you should practice speaking faster or more slowly, louder or quietly, and try to vary it throughout. Friends, you must have seen so many people who speak very fast, people who speak very slow, and at times very low or very high. So you should not be monotonous when you speak, when you introduce yourself. There should be rise and fall in your voice, and you should vary the modulations. And for that case, again, you need a lot of practice. You should try to speak faster, and at times you can also reduce your speed of speaking. You can speak a bit louder or slower or lower, and thus you can bring in variations in your speech. That also makes your introduction very much interesting. Smriti, can you now go ahead with this preparation part?
Of course, yes. When you have prepared your self introduction, ask yourself this question: what does the interview need?
Yes, the needs, the demands of the interviewer should be kept in mind always. Consider what the interviewer needs from you, and on that basis you'll be able to prepare, you'll be able to expect the questions and then also prepare the answers for yourself. So keep on questioning yourself what kind of questions the interviewer may ask to you, and accordingly you can prepare on that line. So the answer is that the interviewer needs to identify the best candidate to hire, whilst keeping the costs to a minimum, and the fewer people interviewed the better, because no one has time to spare for hundreds and thousands of interviews. Generally these interviewers pick out or filter the candidates considering the presentation of the candidate, considering the background of the candidate. So at the same time they also think about the costs, minimizing the costs and minimizing the time for the interview process. So they generally need to identify the best candidate to hire for their company, for their institute, at a low cost and as soon as possible. So the need is also for the person who appears to be the best fit in terms of both personality and technical ability. Also remember that they may need to justify their decision to hire you to someone higher. So they cannot be ignorant, they cannot take it for granted that whatever they select will be always correct. So they also are very cautious when they select people. So at the same time the candidates should also be very cautious when they present themselves before the interviewers. The next one please, Smriti.
Prepare well. This self-introduction is your key to interview success because it helps to create that all-important first impression.
Yes, the first impression is the last impression, as I said earlier. So you need to prepare very well, and this is your key to the interview success because it helps to create that first and everlasting impression on the mind of the interviewer. And that is why right from your dressing, right from your appearance and your body language and your tone and your voice, everything should be perfect and in harmony. It also helps you to build the rapport with the interviewer and satisfies the questions about whether you are the sort of person who will fit in to the organization successfully, because each organization has a different need, different demand, and accordingly they select the right candidate for the proper job. Now these are some tips to follow when you appear for the interview and when you introduce yourself. The first thing is focus the impact. Envision the impression on snow of a high heel which has focused impact, leaving an impression. To give your introduction true impact, make it brief, focused and hard hitting. Keep it to 60 seconds maximum, preferably 30. So this is an interview situation. You should focus yourself very well. You should only highlight the points, the information which is very important and essential at the time of your interview. So that is the first thing. Remember, focus the impact. The next one, Smriti.
Rotate the focus. You need to develop more than one introduction. Seek several different ways in which you can introduce yourself, particularly if you frequently present to the same people. There are many aspects of your work. Develop an introduction for each.
Exactly, because you may appear at different places for different interviews, so you need to develop more than one introduction. Again, in that case, you may have a different formal introduction and a different informal introduction. When you meet people in public places or informal gatherings or ceremonies and occasions, that is quite an informal situation. So there your introduction may differ than your formal introduction. So you need to develop more than one introductions. Seek several different ways in which you can introduce yourself, particularly if you frequently present to the same people. Again, it happens that you may appear at some office, some organization, and you may get rejected once or twice, and then for the third time maybe you appear at the same place. So at that time there should be some change, some improvement in your introduction if you are meeting the same people. And there are many aspects of your work, so develop an introduction for each of that aspect. The next thing,
Make it relevant to your audience. Which introduction you use may depend partly on your listeners. Try to select an aspect of your business that will be relevant to their interests.
Yes, that is the next point. Make it relevant to your audience. The target should always be kept in mind. Which introduction you use may depend partly on your listeners. And also you can try to select an aspect of your business that will be relevant to their interests. So matching the demand and supply will certainly help you in improving your self-introduction. The next fourth point is believe it. It means that when you are creating each introduction, keep to what you believe. If you oversell yourself or your services, not only are you unlikely to sound convincing, but you will also be out of integrity. So trust, faith should be created in the minds of the interviewers when you give your introduction, and at the same time you also should believe in your words. What you are speaking should be correct. You should be confident about that, and you should believe in yourself. That is the next thing to consider. The fifth point, Smriti.
Put your full weight behind it. Deliver your introduction with pride, without hesitation, without excuses, without apologies. Use no explanation that might dilute rather than strengthen it.
So that is putting your full weight behind your introduction. Never involve pride, hesitation, excuses, apologies, etc. in your self-introduction. That often spoils your image, your introduction. And then again, you should also avoid explanations that might dilute or rather strengthen the points, the excuses, etc. So no explanations about whatever you have expressed about yourself. You should be very, very short, precise, to the point, direct. The next thing is sound and look happy about what you do. So always be cheerful, always have a smiling face when you appear for the interview and when you introduce yourself. We are all generally attracted to happiness. That is very common. If you are happy in your business and proud of what you do, then people will be attracted to you, and they'll also want to work with you. So cheerfulness, happiness, that happy mood should always be reflected in your words, in your introduction. The next one, Smriti.
Look at your listeners. If they are to consider doing business with you, they need to know that they matter to you. Making eye contact is the best way to show it in the brief time you have.
Yes, as I talked earlier about body language, eye contact is also a part of body language, and if the listeners are to consider doing business with you, they need to know that they matter to you. So their importance should also be considered, and making eye contact is the best way to show it in the brief time you have. The next thing is know when to use it and when not. So listen and look for cues as to when is the right time to introduce your business and when it is not. Even a great introduction will fall flat and possibly leave a lastingly bad impression if given at the wrong time. So talking at the right time to the right person is very, very important, and also in the right manner. So remember the three things: the person, that is the target, the time which should be correct, and the manner, the way in which you introduce yourself should always be correct. So know when to use it and when not. The next one.
Know how to stop. This gets back to keeping it brief and hard-hitting. Adding more and more information dilutes the impact. A lame or trailing close given an impression of uncertainty and weakness. Keep it crisp.
Yeah, so you should also know what to avoid, and then where to stop, when to stop, how to stop. This gets back to keeping it brief and hard-hitting. Adding more and more information dilutes the impact. So avoid unnecessary details and information. Be crisp, be to the point, be short and precise. And so if you go on lengthening your introduction, that will be of no use at all. The listeners may get bored or they may get distracted if you keep on lengthening your introductions. And finally, leave space for a response. If you keep talking, your listener cannot ask the questions you would like him or her to ask. So for your car or for your information or for clarification. So make it easy by coming to a stop, coming to a halt, and then waiting for him or her to speak. So the pause, the required time space should also be considered. You should remember your time to speak and also allow other people to speak at the right time. So if you don't give them time to speak to you, to talk to you, then the conversation will be lopsided, will become one-sided. So that would no more be a successful communication, a conversation, and the interview will end in your failure, not theirs. So you should remember that you need to give regular or necessary pauses wherever necessary. Now, some sample self-introduction topics are these are: first of all, approach the list below with the who, what, where, why, how and when questions. That's an effective way to outline your first thoughts. So this is how you can prepare for your self-introduction. Always keep these questions in mind. Smriti, can you go through the questions?
What activity has played or plays an important part in your life? Tell the story and describe the message. The second is, what is your main personal goal? And third is, what do you like very much?
So you see here you can highlight your likes and dislikes, your hobbies, your achievements, your goals, and of course the important events, your important moments of life that also express a lot about your personality. They also reflect your personality and your thoughts and your understanding, and in that way you can reflect, you can express your whole personality. The next questions.
First is, what do you hate or dislike? The second is, do you have developed a very special skill? And the third is, what is your lifestyle?
Yes, so informal or formal introductions may include such informations based on these questions. For example, what do you hate or dislike? So as I said, your idiosyncrasies, your likes and dislikes can be very well integrated in your introduction. And then you can also think on this line, do you have developed a very special skill? Some special kind of art you have or skill you have or perfection you have in some skill, you can definitely mention in your introduction. And you can also talk about your lifestyle. For example, when you are informally talking to some person, in your introduction you can mention your lifestyle too. The next questions.
First is, can you come up with a turning point or milestone in your life? Second is, what is your hobby or interest in your spare time? And the third is, what is a pet peeve or another very familiar topic you like to talk about, to do or to discuss?
So here there's a mixture of questions for formal and informal introductions. As you see the first on the screen, can you come up with a turning point or milestone in your life? That question can be relevant in official formal situations also. So here you can inform, express your skill, your ability to overcome any obstacle, any hindrance, and especially if you have surpassed some of such milestones in your life, that you can mention. And then what is your hobby or interest in your spare time? So here again the interviewers may come to know that what kind of person you are, whether you wish to use your time correctly in good activities or whether you waste your time. So that also is very important. They would like to know whether their employee will use his time or not. And then what is a pet peeve or another very familiar topic you like to talk about or to discuss? So here they wish to know what your interests are in discussion, and again what kind of reading you have, what kind of access you have to events and news that are happening around you and around the world. So a general understanding, a general knowledge of the things that are going on around.
Where are you from? Do your roots reveal something about yourself that's new for the audience? Second is there any object or prop that means a lot to you? And the third is, what distinguishes you from other individuals in class?
Yes, these are also some informal type of questions. For example, again, formal also you can say where you are from, your native place you can describe, and do your roots reveal something about yourself that's new for the audience. Especially there are some people, there are some communities which have deep roots about something new. And then, is there an object or prop that means a lot to you? That also is a kind of informal question. And what distinguishes you from other individuals in the class? Again, this is very, very specific and very much required. How you are different from other people around you. That also makes you stand apart from the rest of the people. So it is an effective way to outline your first thoughts for introducing yourself. For example, what activity has played or plays an important part in your life? So here you can narrate the story and distract the message. Again, your personal goals, your likes and dislikes, your special skills, your lifestyle, some turning point in your life, your hobby or interest, and things you are interested in discussion. And then again, as we discussed, the native place, some real information about your own ancestors, etc. And then that always works in a speech for self-introduction. So these questions may help you in preparing for formal or informal self-introductions. And then what distinguishes you from other individuals? Again, a very, very pertinent and important kind of question. So now that you have picked out a central thesis, you can use this self-introduction sample speech outline. So try to grab the attention of people before you. That is very much needed. Quickly bring in your central speech idea. Give some background information. Tell why it is important to you, why you are doing it, why you want to tell them, etc. So this also is required. For example, the importance of the conversation, the importance of your introduction, why at all you are there to talk to the people you are before, and why you want to tell all things that you are telling them, you are speaking. So work out your topic in a few sentences, draw the contours, make it personal. So always rehearse it. Start by writing your introduction first, and then give an example. In conclusion, often offer a memorable answer on the question the listeners probably will have when they listen to a public speaking speech. What's in it for me? So after you have talked with the people, you have completed the interview, for example, the interviewers should remember something special about you, that this candidate, this person was really very, very special, very different from the others who were interviewed. So tell how this aspect of your life makes who you are and what you are. It will be the perfect ending of your self-introduction speech. And then you can practice a lot of introduction samples on your own. You also have this facility on the computers. You have softwares which allow you to create your introductions. So let the computer write sentences for you, and you can write in this information. You don't need to change everything, but the more you change, the more personal the story will be. For example, these are some tips on preparing written self-introduction, and that you can memorize, and then you can express it in your own words. Smriti, can you please read out those hints?
Of course, yes. My name is...
Yeah, for example, my name is Mr. or Miss so-and-so. That is how you can begin your introduction. Then
I am years old.
Yeah, that second sentence will express your age. How old are you? And then
I live in
Ahmedabad or Surat or Baroda. That will of course mention the name of the city you are from. And then the next question,
I
like drawing or music or movies or things like that. Here you see you can express your hobbies, your likes and dislikes in this sentence.
I don't like.
Yeah, this is about your dislikes, what you don't like. So Again, I don't like people who are untruthful or things like that. That also is your own personality, yourself.
My hobby is?
Yeah, my hobby is kite flying, or my hobby is collecting stamps or things like that. So your hobby also is a part of your personality.
My favorite food is?
My favorite food is Chinese or continental or whatever. So again, your likes have what kind of food you are interested in. And then,
how often do you eat your favorite food?
yeah, I visit restaurants every week or twice every week, things like that. So it also expresses what kind of person you are, what kind of mood you have. You are a cheerful kind of person, you like to meet people around, etc. And then, well, introducing yourself can be short or long depending on the purpose. Again, see here, this is one more way how you can introduce yourself. For example, you can say, hi, my name is this, my name is Kalpesh. So or you can use the word hello, or you can greet the person and then start the conversation. The next one, Smriti.
You could go further and add some details about yourself depending on who you are introducing yourself to.
So you can go further and add some details about yourself, as we saw earlier, some sentences about your hobbies, your likes and dislikes, about your native place, about even your education. You can talk to the person, and of course where you come from. You can talk about your parents, your family members, your friends, etc. So you can go on adding information, details about yourself depending on who you are talking to.
If you are at work, for instance, you might want to tell your job title or who your
Boss is.
If you are in college, you might tell your major.
Yeah, so depending on what kind of person you are, meaning if you're a student, then you can talk about your faculty you are studying in, about your college, about your teachers, about your course. And then, of course, if you are an employee, then you can talk about your boss, about your post, about the level you are working at, and things like that.
If the person you are introducing yourself to already knows someone that you know, you could say, I am a friend of dash, or you know my brother.
Yes, so especially when you meet people who are connected with some of your relatives, some of your friends or family members, you can introduce yourself by linking the relationship with that person. For example, I'm a friend of Mr. So-and-so. So you may have a common friend, and in that way also you can start the introduction. So that is much easier, and it makes it creates a comfort zone actually. So for a longer example, I'll pretend that I'm introducing myself to you. For example, I may begin the conversation in this manner. Hello, I'm Kalpesh Kansara, one of the faculty members of the Department of English at the Udna Commerce College, Surat. I mainly teach communicational correspondence to the commerce students. Besides, I also teach literature to students of arts faculty at the postgraduate level. You see, this is a very formal kind of introduction. I may add my hobbies, my likes and dislikes, and what kind of food I eat, what kind of people I know, my friends, my family members, my native, and again my hobbies like reading. I can talk about the books I read, but the books I'm interested in. I may talk about something like creative writing, reading poems, or watching movies, or etc. And then generally, when you have a person who is of your age, like a friend, then in informal situations you can talk about the common interests, and that is how you can come very close to that person. And you can again on the at the same time give much correct information, interesting information about yourself to that person, and that is how you can create long-lasting relationships with people whom you are talking to. Now, once again, I'd like Smriti to introduce herself as a sample of good introduction.
Hello friends, my name is Smriti Shah. I'm from iIdeas, that is Indian Institute for Development and Education in Advanced Study. It's a management institute. I'm working as a senior counselor over there.
And then Smriti, you can also there add about your likes and dislikes, your hobbies, and what kind of education you have had. So that will certainly add something. Yes, would you please try once more?
I like to read books. I like to cook. That's it, sir.
Yeah, your education and yes, even your achievements. If you are good at some skill, for example, dance, music, singing, etc., that also can add to your self-introduction. Yeah, could you please add something more to that?
Of course, sir. I like to dancing because I'm crazy about dance, and I like also music because I'm crazy about music. Of course, yes. I want to know about the people. The main thing is that when my first interview was very scared. At that time I was scared, but right now I'm very free about the introduction for myself because I know how to introduce myself.
Yes, so you see, some preparation, some rehearsal, some practice, and some efforts can certainly make you a good presenter, and you'll be much confident about yourself, what you speak, what you express about yourself. So once again, I'd like to highlight, point out the things we have discussed already. First of all, consider why at all you are introducing yourself. Secondly, who is the person before you, who is the target listener or listeners before you, for whom with whom you are going to talk, you are introducing yourself. And then thirdly, how you are going to introduce yourself. What things will you include? For example, your name, age, your native place, your likes and dislikes, your educational background, your achievements, and of course your goals in life. So these things can be included in your self-introduction. Next thing is, always remember that you should be time specific. Whenever you find time, whenever you get time, you should practice this time, because in interview situations, in official formal situations, you hardly get a few seconds or a few minutes, couple of minutes to introduce yourself, and then the remaining part focuses on your strengths and your skills. So you should minimize this introduction part as much as possible. It can be from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. That would be a standard size for an interview, depending on the type of interview, the type of post you are applying for, and also the situation, the formal or informal situation, because informal introductions may extend for minutes together. But in formal situations, you should be very precise, very short, because again, as I said, you don't have enough time to go on talking about your own self. There are a lot of people behind you who are waiting for their chance to speak. So again, and then when you are talking to people, you should always pause wherever necessary, so that the person can ask you questions after your self-introduction is over. And you can practice or rehearse by writing your own introduction, and again changing the information that you give in your self-introduction, because every time the same introduction may irritate the person. So you should make changes wherever necessary, whenever necessary, to make your introduction interesting, so that the people who are before you, who are talking to you, get interested in you and your background. Finally, you should always be cheerful and express your confidence, your happiness, your pleasure in talking to the person before you. And this is how this cheer, this joy, this happiness will certainly result in good fortune for you, and you will definitely achieve success in all your endeavors. So that is all about the art of introduction, as the topic itself speaks that it is an art, and this art, certainly this skill certainly can be developed, can be improved a lot, if you rehearse well, if you keep in mind all the hints, all the tips that we have provided, and there is a lot more. There are so many reference books available, and again, the internet is a huge source where you can get a lot of information on how to introduce yourself. There are also so many video links which are available on the internet, which can definitely help you in improving your introduction skills. You have live interview situations which are picturized, and that can certainly help you in improving your interview skills. Here's a list of some references on the screen. For example, you have this speechtopicshelp.com or choicecoach.com, monsterindia.com, ALLinterview.com, timesjobs.com, usc.edu, and acethechase.com. These are some of the important websites which can help you to find out some tips on self-introduction. So I think this presentation, this information will certainly help you in improving your self-introduction, improving your personality, and henceforth whenever you meet people, you'll be much more confident in introducing yourself in the English language especially. And wishing you all success and happiness in all your endeavors and life. Thank you very much.
Thank you.